EG, IG Vitality, Empire, and Secret. I mean, it's like they all have a very similar, or sorry, not Secret, but the other teams have a very similar point value. So you can very easily see EG dropping down, or if they take this 2-0, they could, like you said, solidify their position in the top half of the group, because it is kind of getting to that crunch time. We have obviously last game of the day, and then tomorrow there's I believe 3 rounds of matches left, and then we're all done.
Yeah.
So very, very important to get a 2-0 in here if you can.
Yeah, and LGD actually have a tough opponent after this. They have TNC, who are also in that top 4 position. So this is a series that really LGD could not afford to straight out lose. Right? I really feel like they need to pick up at least 1 game here to feel comfortable. Drafting style has been really interesting. LGD, I was looking through their drafts. They have only picked up 1 core in their first 1-2 in 1 single game, and that was the Magnus. But they're actually going to go for the Faceless Void here, because Evil Geniuses have actually been valuing that hero quite a bit. It actually feels like this is a more of an EG draft, this Void Ancient Apparition combo that they're running.
So I kind of want to build on what you're saying about the EG draft that LGD are currently picking. Is when you pick the Void, I think it's just taking it away from Evil Geniuses, because the hero is kind of coming back a little bit.
Yep.
And he's been showing a lot of strength throughout the TI7 group stages. It's a hero that we know historically Universe has played very well. You can put it mid. We've seen it in the past on the other streams. Even just today, there have been a couple of mid Voids. So
yeah, the enemy team picks up like a mid puck, and you're like, all right, we could switch that Void to a mid. No problem.
Exactly. It's a lot of strength, and Evil Genius is going to go to something that we've seen before here during the group stages. The Naga Siren can always transition into the core. We've seen Zai play it mostly, I believe. And it's just proven to be a hero that still offers a ton of laning potential in the early game. Very fast, 320 base movement speed. Ensnare is a great tool along with Riptide, which not a lot of people think about, but it's a very cost-efficient nuke. It's kind of like an AoE Void, but instead of slowing you, it reduces armor.
And that's it's all the more value. You've got an extra support, or maybe a core that can jump onto the hero and help you out. One thing that I would kind of, I think the biggest way to describe Evil Genius's drafting style for this group stage has been ambiguity.
Yep.
They keep on picking up these heroes that can run in multiple situations, right? I think they've run Earthshaker in all 4 of the potential positions he can run into. They have been running this Naga Siren, which could potentially be a core, more likely support. Batrider can also be that support slash off-lane mix, just depending on the situation. Void was another one that can run in different positions. It's like every single time you see an opener from Evil Geniuses, in the first 3 pickups, I feel like there is at least 2 or 3 different laning phase scenarios that are going to be possible for EG. They're just going to lock it down as they see more of the enemy team's draft.
I think it kind of lends itself to be worried about what your own strategy is. Don't worry like a ton about what the enemy team is doing, because if you trap yourself into this thinking of, okay, where's this hero going? Where's this hero going? And sometimes you can't see the forest through the trees, and you end up picking some draft that doesn't have enough synergy, and you kind of fall flat. I think we've seen a handful of those types of games during the group stages so far. But I believe the last time that we saw the Batrider and the Naga together, it was a dual support. At least when you and I cast it.
Yeah.
It was Crit, actually, on the Bat, and then it was Zai on the Naga Siren in that game. So curious to see if that's the path they're going to take here. The great thing about Bat is no matter what you do with him, he's going to get farm because he has Firefly. Like, that's probably the biggest strength of the hero in general. So going into the second ban phase, you see the Lycan taken out. EG love that hero, obviously, play it a ton. It's shown a lot of strength in the group stage, I would say. Pretty solid win rate. Disruptor is one where I know that Crit plays it, but it's not one that I feel is a go-to for him necessarily. But after picking up the Night Stalker, it does kind of make sense.
Yeah, the Night Stalker, I feel like both the Disruptor and especially that Lycan, those are definitely focus bans for them to be able to third pick up this Night Stalker. They needed a strong 4 position. I feel like Night Stalker is one of the best heroes to run against the Batrider, whether it's support or offlane, because you get such a gigantic vision advantage and inhibit the Batrider's vision. It makes it very hard for him to get a successful initiation. And that'll also cause a little bit of problems for the Naga Siren as well, because I really like the Naga Siren pickup for EG here. It's a direct counter to the Faceless Void and the Chronosphere. Just throw down that Song of Siren. He's oftentimes going to be so far in the back lines, he won't be caught by that Chronosphere. So he just kind of nullifies what a core is bringing to the team fight. I think that's always a great mindset to look at it and be like, if I can have a support that counters a core, or anybody higher up in the net worth ladder, then that's a huge advantage for you.
It's fantastic. Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where if you are playing a core Void and you're in this game, you are almost forced to either know that the Naga is not there or just have to chrono the Naga.
Yeah.
And it's not a very good feeling. So going a little bit further into the draft, we see the Nature's Prophet picked up, probably going to be played by Universe, although we have seen it in different capacities. I think it's great when you have a hero like this who can fully abuse one of those kind of weak-ish laning supports as Ancient Apparition. He's not really known for his durability in the early lane. So I think that EG are going for more of the lane-dominant kind of pressure. All three of these heroes, you know, Naga's got great base armor. She has good harass. Batrider is pretty much the same in regards to being able to stay in his lane. Nature's Prophet falls under that category. There's just a lot of heroes that, even with a Night Stalker on your team, you're not really feeling like you can easily just win a lane. You know, because all these heroes are so good at just being alive and harassing and just being a nuisance.
This is one hell of a combination they got going on. Chronosphere with an Ancient Apparition Ice Blast is already a killer. But now in team fights, they can also have Pugna sitting in the back line, so he can throw down a blast, give him time to lay down his ward, and probably most importantly, go for that life leech.
Yeah, I love the Pugna resurgence. The hero is so good at just ending the game.
Yeah.
There are not really a lot of heroes in Dota where you can be in a 20-minute match and say, we can just go high ground. You know? Unless you're like 10 or 15k net worth ahead at that stage in the game, which is very uncommon. You have to like win all 3 lanes.
It's just so annoying to play Batrider, like in a defensive capacity against Pugna when he's sieging against you, because he lays down that ward, and then you're obviously going to pop Firefly before you go for the initiation, but then you get pinged by the ward. That delays your initiation, gives a heads up to the enemy that you're looking for it. Visage, though, for Evil Geniuses, feeling that safe lane Visage like we saw last time from EG?
It's definitely possible. The hero is incredibly strong now with the change to the Gravekeeper's Cloak and allowing the birds to be just that much more tanky inside of the fights. I would even say in this game, it's pretty hard for them to kill birds, right?
Yeah, it is. Very hard.
So how does the Ancient Apparition, for example, deal with a Visage core if it ends up being like that very farm-centric, I have a really early Solar Crest and an Aghanims? That hero is going to have a hard time just staying alive in general. And then you have Pugna, who, outside of the Crepify, he doesn't really have a self-save either. So I think of Visage as this hero, if you don't have an innate escape mechanism and you have low base armor, you're just not good against Visage. Like, he's just going to kill you.
I haven't seen the Ancient Apparition versus Visage yet. I wonder, because before the Ice Vortex change, this would just be obviously Ancient Apparition, like, chain beating all the time.
That's true.
I wonder if the Ice Vortex will help him out a little bit against that. He could just lay it down on top of him and then get a little bit of a boost of movement speed while slowing down the birds. We'll have to see. It could be he just still dies too quickly, right? With Solar Crest and the birds focusing you down, it just takes like half a second to be able to bring the Ancient Apparition to near the kill zone. They're going to have the Templar Assassin be the last ban out here from LGD. I like that a lot, especially since they already have the Visage. It would give them Roshan taking potential, and they have great Roshan inhibitors already with the Batrider and Naga Siren, so if they have the Rosh taking hero of their own, that would add a lot for Evil Geniuses, and being able to kind of stymie the timing that LGD is looking for. I look at this lineup and I see very much like they're going to hit hard at 20 minutes, and they're going to keep hitting you until like 35, and later on to the game, we're going to start having some more issues with Furion really coming into his own as a major right-clicker, and who knows what that mid laner is going to be, but I think LGD's timing is very solidly focused in the early to mid game.
So I guess the follow-up to that would be, what is the hero that allows them to continue their push? Because it feels like if the game stretches out too much, that Evil Geniuses will just have the flat-out lineup advantage because of how good their heroes are at splitting up the map, how little catch LGD have. I mean, sure, in the early game, Night Stalker's great, because you can walk in, you can void someone, you have, your Ancient Apparition follow-up, or Pugna, or even a Chrono. But later on, it's pretty much just Chrono. And then you're looking at trying to stop a Bat. Naga Siren, we saw, even though it wasn't played in a core capacity, Zai still did a really good job at pushing out lanes all the time. And then you have Visage Birds pushing, and then obviously the Nature's Prophet. So the last pick here looks like it's going to be a Sumail Shaker. A classic.
LGD, they can do a couple things here. They still have, since they have the last pick, they had second pick, so they had the very last pick, they can change their lineup by a lot. They can run like Pugna mid, offlane faces Void, and like a different carry like a Troll or something if they want more late game. and they don't have to necessarily go all in on the pressure of winning that mid game and taking away objectives. They can still go for a Faceless Void safe lane or a Pugna safe lane. You can pick a different mid. Anti-Mage, last pick. That is definitely a hero that grants them the late game here, right? There's no way a Visage, Earthshaker, Core is going to be able to stop that one.
That is a very, very good pick. I'm all, you know me. I love Anti-Mage.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always a fan of a good old-fashioned hit creeps game.
You're a fan of farmers, man.
Oh, I love them. I mean, I play safe lane. Can you blame me?
Disgusting. You and I are like natural enemies. You know that? Like, I'm the off laner, you're the safe laner. I like to be very aggressive with my off lane. You like to hit creeps a lot with your safe lane.
Listen. They've nerfed safe lane so many times. They removed Four-Man Shield from the side shop. You can't buy slippers of agility.
Give me those sweet safe laner tears. They taste so good.
Before they changed the shrines to be 5 minutes before you could use them,
7.0 was the greatest patch ever. For off laners.
I was so sad.
All I hear all the time with the safe laners at 7.0. This shrine. Off lane is better than safe lane. Oh, it's a great patch. Great patch, Icefrog. I loved it.
You don't understand our pain.
and then after that, I lost like 500 MMR.
The classic.
All right. LGD versus Evil Geniuses, our final series of the day here on this stream. We've got to Old 11 already TPing out, getting a good aggressive ward for him. A Void versus a Visage. That doesn't sound like the most fun matchup in the world if he has a little bit of support, but I'm sure he's still going to be able to get a decent amount of farm. We'll see where Victoria kind of ends up. Maybe he's going to be playing the mid Pugna up against Sumail's Earthshaker. I imagine that's going to be okay for the Earthshaker, right?
Yeah,
being
I
a
think
melee
so.
Against the range, I don't think that's too terrible.
Poor Man's Shield is usually enough. You know, you have the bonus damage from Enchant. You can use even Aftershock to CS now because it does 75 damage at level 1.
Yeah.
I think Sumail, he's notorious for, like, it doesn't even matter what his matchup is. He usually just does well unless the enemy team is focusing him with a lot of roaming. And this game, you're probably really only going to see Victoria moving around the map. He's kind of the only hero equipped to do that, whereas the rest of LGD are looking at a very static laning phase, just sitting there trying to get what they can and hoping that Ame gets enough space to be able to really get that timing of the anti-mage before EG are able to pressure the map, get their Roshan, and take those towers down.
LGD protect their bounty rune from the evil universe as he tries to snatch it away with the treants, but is going to be pushed back. Top lane, actually. Old 11 was able to challenge RTZ for that one, so they're able to get 3 of the bounty runes. Cha-ching!
Looks like he wanted to try to go for the creep wave there, but realized that Crit's in the area. Not going to be able to stick around.
Faceless Void hates Batrider.
I think most heroes hate Batrider.
True, but Faceless Void more than others, right? Because you time lock, but you don't get rid of the sticky, and you're just still going to be chased down. The support Batrider is really hard to play against its Void.
I think any kind of incremental harassment damage is what Void hates the most.
Yeah.
Anything that you can't just time walk off.
Those 1v1 Ursa lanes kill me. Universe going to be gone on the bottom lane. They slow him down with a Void and get the extra damage from the Ancient Apparition. Failing to actually get that kill, they just turn around and throw the rest of the damage at Zai. Really good use of that first chilling touch.
It's one thing you can't underestimate, just that bonus damage coming in. Even at level 1, it's 50 extra damage a hit. Normally, Zai playing on the Naga Siren, you have the 6 armor, you're super tanky because you start with a Stout Shield too.
Yeah. Now they don't have the chilling touch. Evil Genius is just going to be able to come back and force. This is really reminiscent of that Planet Odd lineup that they ran in Dream League, where they put the Tidehunter support with Gush level 1 with a Furion. It's just a better version of that, basically, because you're running a tanky support that kind of sits on the front line that gives you minus armor possibilities for Ryu to really abuse the fact that you're running a ranged core offlaner with a lot of physical damage, as well as a summon that does a lot of physical damage as well. You're just really abusing this minus armor mechanic in lane.
A lot of this pressure, too, is going to be forcing LGD supports to either sit here, or Ame, even with the Poor Man's Shield, is still going to experience a lot of trouble, just like CSing in the lane in general. The last time we saw this combination, I believe it was also in a 2v3, this time Yao getting the net.
Early ensnare onto Yao, might just be able to get the first blood. They do manage to kill him first before Universe dies here. In fact, Universe is not even going to die. Victoria gives up on that chase as Zai It's getting a lot of damage in on these heroes. Even throws an extra ensnare onto Victoria just to get a couple extra right clicks. It's got a clarity, so may take a bit of a break from the laning phase. Meanwhile, ult 11.
That's 9 stacks.
That's 9 stacks. Crit, is he really going to be able to dive into the tower to finish off ult 11 here? He's going to give up on it. 5 seconds till the time lock is up. That looked a little risky.
You don't normally see that many stacks.
No.
Like after 2 or 3, you're thinking to yourself, okay, maybe I should just get out of here.
Yeah. Well, that's excellent advice from EG Sumail. Destroy the barracks, then get back. 2.5 minutes in, Evil Geniuses have already crafted their game-winning plan.
I mean, that's why they're such a good team. Personally, I never thought to kill buildings, Cap.
Yeah,
I kill creeps. That's all I do.
I kill heroes. I feel you, buddy. Buildings just don't enter into our minds. How's that top lane going for ult 11? He said 4 and 2, so the off lane's definitely going a whole lot better for Evil Geniuses. Of course, they're running a duo, while LGD are trying to protect their Animage with their defensive tri-lane as best as possible. Sumail's doing quite well in the mid lane, kind of evening up the CS against maybe's Pugna. Pugna very slightly ahead at 22 and 6 compared to 18 and 2 on Sumail. It's actually, I was looking at the CS just a minute earlier, and it was very favorable for Sumail, but it looks like maybe's beginning to pick things up a notch.
It's pretty easy, I think, to stay relevant and farm on a Pugna, because you have so much int, just naturally, that you can spam Nether Blast. The spell costs like no mana.
Yeah.
It's 105 for at level 2 for a nuke of 175. It's very, very high damage to mana ratio. It's easy to push out the wave. You know, you get level 6, you can just pretty much man fight anyone as long as you're not getting chain stun because of how good life drain is.
I wonder if they're gonna do an early rotation. Say like they get level 6, if they're gonna try and go for like a Furion TP onto mid, just kind of block Pugna in, see if Sumail can get in range of the Echo Slam or something like that.
Yeah, if you can chain stun him, it's possible.
Yeah.
He's got the 2 points in Aftershock, so it's that really thin window where you can still kind of do it, but you have to be like immediately spamming all your spells.
Yeah, I think like Pugna mids are one of the most rewarding heroes to gank in the mid lane. Good game onto Universe here at the bottom lane. A very necessary pickup for LGD, especially Ame himself, as he's been feeling so much pressure from this Furion Naga Siren duo. Gets a little bit of gold back into his coffers because his CS isn't going so well. It's 17 and 4.
I'll have a bit of recovery time. In the meantime, Zyman with the invis.
He has the ensnare to help Sumail get close enough. He actually went for the 2nd level of Fissure rather than that value level of Enchant Totem level 2. Crit has a gigantic stack up here, the hard camp stack, but ult 11 was actually able to chase him far enough away that he lost his sticky napalm stacks, and now he's got some a little bit extra help here. Victoria's coming in. It is nighttime as well. Crit's going to go for the sack one more time, and as he moves downward, they are going to be able to get on top of him. Cold Feet and the Void slows him down enough to be able to claim that kill. Great pickup. But back over to mid lane. Finally, Zai pops out with that ensnare. They're going to be able to close the distance with maybe. And that level 6 just doesn't come fast enough. The life drain doesn't save his life. Maybe will die to Sumail.
Overall, a worthwhile trade for EG.
Yeah,
getting the mid player over losing just a support Batrider, not really a huge deal for them. My curiosity stems from who's killing that stack. Is that a Sumail stack? Because I mean,
I think that's a recovery crit stack.
That could also, yeah, that could also
tough.
be it. He's only got like 1 point in a Firefly. I guess eventually he'll take over the lane. Like maybe Arteezy decides to rotate with his birds, try to go for a kill. Like taking out the Pugna's great.
Yeah, I think going bottom lane would also be really good, just to pressure the LGD Ame out of lane. Good counter kill in mid lane, then being able to pick up the kill on Sumail with the rotation of Victoria and Yao. They just killed top. Finally come bottom. Crit is going to try and clear through that stack right now. Old 11's going to come in, see if he can snipe some of it. Especially with Crit so low, he can actually just chase Crit away from a lot of his CS. Goes for the time dilation. Crit slowed down. Firefly about to run out. Old 11 does have the time walk, so if he wants to join Crit on that corner, he's not going to be able to do so. But Zai ends up going down. Old 11 time walks away from those creeps as Arteezy picks up his level 6.
He's getting beaten to death, Cap, by the troll. It's not de-aggroing. It's just beating him to death.
Stop it! Stop it, troll! Crit's at 150 HP. All right, finally it stopped. And he's got Firefly up in 5 seconds, so he could be good. Zai ended up dying right next to his shrine on the bottom half of the map. They are going to go for Sumail here. Big time nuke. The combination with the Echo Slam. Turn around. There goes Victoria. And now an ensnare onto Yao. Maybe is going to try and protect his support, but he takes so much damage with that minus armor. Universe is actually going to go for this route onto Maybe instead, but the life drain, the turnaround. Oh, the nuke. Good thing Zai had that level in the illusions. He was able to get rid of that life drain, and a big hit from Sumail. It's going to finish things off with a double kill. But Victoria's going to come back for vengeance, actually. Maybe only level 2, but the Void, Cold Feet, he doesn't choose to chase.
That Echo did so much more damage than I thought. They're also going to lose Yao.
Yao got caught by the Familiars. They came in. That's the beauty of the Visage core. You can stay in lane, and your Familiars will go gank for you.
I think that's what we call the suffering of an ancient apparition against the Visage.
It is only just begun.
All right, mid again. Here we go.
Chasing him down. Life drain a little bit more. Victoria's going to have to run him down underneath the tower, but he doesn't have the mana to do so. They also tried to go on the top lane. Old 11 was chased away. Fortunately, well-placed Time Walk was able to get him out of that nasty situation. TP in for the Furion. Ensnare is going to be able to catch him. Old 11 is just going to get bursted down underneath his Ensnare timing. Did not respect the Naga Siren well enough.
He didn't have enough mana to Chrono, so he had to pop the stick, and in the time it took him to use that to try to get away, it was already too late, and he just ends up going down.
They're still chasing Sumail. Jesus, all the way into the tower again. Victoria with the Haste Rune, all the way into the tier 2, but Sumail's just so tanky. That's the big problem with the core Earthshaker, right?
Gotta throw so many spells at that thing to take him down. Strength gain is insane. 3.2. Also gets a 10 strength talent at level 10.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Evil Geniuses have this really cool combination where they Familiars for damage, and then they've got Treants as well as Naga Siren Illusions to be able to tank tower shots. They're going to be able to get another Ensnare onto Old 11. He's going to be able to get the Time Walk away this time around. Really think he needs the rotation from his team, though. You don't want to lose a tier 2 this early.
I think it's quite difficult for LGD to straight up fight this, though, without Chrono and like an Ancient Apparition Ice Blast. I guess they are bringing NewBee in. So if they have everyone and they can get like a good Chrono into a blast or two and maybe a life drain, it is possible. But at the very least, they manage to scare EG off. I think it's very dangerous to let EG continually take towers like that when you're playing with an anti-mage on your team. Like Ame, he hasn't really been able to do much for obvious reasons, but you know, he's recovering. He's back up to one of the highest CS in the game right now. And if he gets, you know, 5-10 more minutes of farm, we could start to see LGD's lineup kind of come to fruition.
Here comes that Furion Visage push once again. This time at the bottom lane, while Sumail just covers ground all over the jungle. Maybe he's going to try and take that tier 1 mid tower, but Sumail's pretty quick to rotate back to mid lane. He really doesn't want to trade 1-for-1.
He can't stop him though, really. Can go Echo maybe?
Yep, Goodson with the Echo does have the enchant totem, get the stun, but the Trapify goes off just in time. Unfortunately, there is still the chain stun of the birds. Arteezy is moving these Familiars around beautifully.
That was really nice movement. Having the phase boots there on Sumail secured that kill, like 100%.
Yeah.
Pugna's very fast, so if you don't kill him with like in the stun duration, you're just not going to kill him at all. And the phase boots allowed him to close that gap after the fissure was cast to ensure that he could get the aftershock damage and the stun from the Echo.
There is just too much from EG with these pushes. They're like throwing too much in the front lines, and LGD really don't have anything to be able to get there. Like, what do? They do Time Walk, Chronosphere, but they don't even have the damage to follow that one up, really. Not yet anyway, with the Ancient Apparition still at level 4, 10.5 minutes in.
Look at this army. That tome. It's just an army of creeps and like birds and trees and illusions, and you can't even look at that if you're LGD. Like, they're going to go for a trade. They get the tier 1.
Sumail is in position, though, with his Invis rune to be able to catch these heroes, especially with... Oh, maybe. Are you just going to get comboed? Oh, God! Enchant Totem, it does so much damage. Now they got the Ensnare onto Old 11 as well, with the Familiars able to chase him down. Yeah, they're going to give up on it. Looks like EG just might be able to take the mid tower. Nope, they're still kind of chasing. They get the Familiar drop. No Fissure. Meanwhile, top lane, they do manage to kill Crit.
I mean, a kill's a kill for LGD at this point,
yeah,
which is great, but... This is very, very difficult to stop what EG are doing once they kind of get into position. Until the Ice Blast is online. Like, Yao needs level 6 so badly. Because they're essentially playing a 4 Protect 5, but their heroes just don't have damage because they have an Anti-Mage and a Void on the same team. Neither of these heroes contribute any damage whatsoever until they have items. So you're relying on your supports, and I guess your mid player in this case, on maybe to be able to supplement that.
They could lose almost every single one of their outer towers before they have Battle Fury and Ame. Like,
that's very scary.
And this is what we were kind of talking about when we said before that Evil Geniuses, like, they're one of the few teams that's not actually playing greedier. In fact, they're playing a lot faster in this group stage than any iteration of Evil Geniuses I can think of.
Okay, Sumail.
Gonna be able to catch one here. Almost blows up Ame. Gets the... Oh, he was halfway through that blink animation, but the nuke strikes him down before he can get away. Arteezy's on a dominating streak. Now they're going to be able to get even more as Crit managed to get the combo onto Old 11, plus the birds dropping down the nuke. They just didn't have the damage this time around, but they can still kind of chase him with his sneaky napalm. He turns around, gets out the time dilation, but here comes Sumail, and he's got the Echo Slam too. Fortunately, the silence goes down from Victoria. Really quick reaction from our Night Stalker. Does manage to save Old 11's life.
I'm not sure if the Echo would have guaranteed that kill, because he would have only realistically gotten one more spell off, right?
Yeah.
And then he would have gotten silence, so probably okay that they didn't pop the Echo just to take down 11 right there. Still, though, EG continually forcing these reactions. There is a Chrono and an Ice Blast now. The only other piece of the puzzle they need is to make sure that maybe's in the area if they really want to contest this.
It just doesn't seem possible with the Sheer 2 this low. Familiars zoning these enemies back. And that's the problem. When you have a lineup like this, we identified pretty quickly, like, they just do not have the heroes to deal with familiars easily. These familiars can just be up in your face constantly and just drop before you can actually kill them.
The Visage pick is coming huge here so far for EG. I think in game 2, you know, assuming that EG walk away from this with a win, that they're going to have to balance their lineup a little bit better, because right now it's kind of like this Pugna turned into some kind of last-ditch anti-mage pick to try to even the game up, and it really hasn't been working for them. Like, picking Void and anti-mage together means that the other 3 heroes in your team need to be able to create a tremendous amount of space or offer a ton of lane pressure, and so far it doesn't really seem like LGD have really been able to accomplish either of those things.
Yeah. I think the Faceless Void Ancient Apparition opening also kind of signals that, right? Where if the laning phase goes bad, like, Void's not going to give you any damage in those first couple of rotations. And the Ancient Apparition will be far enough behind. He doesn't have Ice Blast. So it was definitely a weakness in their draft that they kind of exposed pretty early. It just kind of got exacerbated by the fact that they went for this last pick AM, which both you and I liked. It looks to be a good AM game if he can actually get to that point. And they're struggling to actually get the farm for him. He's trying to take this tier 1 tower to get the Battle Fury, but the high ground push is already coming from Evil Geniuses. Look at Arteezy, and these Treants and Familiars go. Already down to almost half HP on a tier 3 tower at 15 minutes.
He's got the items to frontline as well. He's got the Hood of Defiance, he's got the Medallion, almost the full Solar Crest. Once he gets those, killing him is going to be just... I don't even know if they can. Okay, so this is the way the siege goes down from EG. They have Universe potentially and Arteezy hitting a tower, and then the way that you want to engage is you want to Chrono the frontline heroes, but you can't because there's a Naga Siren. Yep. So as soon as the song comes out, your form of initiation that is supposed to guarantee like this follow-up damage is just completely nullified because you won't be able to finish the tankiest hero on the team. Like 4 stacks of Gravekeeper's Cloak, a Hood and a Medallion, soon to be Solar Crest. There's just not enough damage.
Yeah, if anything, that positioning is turned against you, right? You're going to be a little bit forward past the tower, trying to follow up on that Chronosphere. The song goes down. Next thing you know, you're in a bad position in front of your tower, set up for a big Echo Slam or something from the Earthshaker. There's just so much counter-initiation while Evil Geniuses siege that LGD, I think, have to go for, like, the smoke wraparound if they have a hope and a prayer of being able to defend against these early sieges.
Catching the Naga, I think, would probably be the best. Because if you catch anyone else, no matter who it is, you just can't kill them.
It's just, they don't have the burst damage, right? They can't kill that hero fast enough before the Song of Siren comes in.
Right. That's the biggest issue. I mean, obviously, if they can hold their high ground for an extended period of time, Ame now with the Battle Fury, there's a good chance that they can kind of, I guess, split push their way back into the game over time. But it's not necessarily just about the Battle Fury timing that matters in this case. It's also about how fast can he get his Manta. Because the Manta could be a stage in where he forces EG to use their abilities suboptimally, and that's really what you need to do to kind of throw a wrench into their plan.
Another push comes forward from Evil Geniuses. Sumail, he realizes he's a little bit far forward, so he starts backing away. Doesn't want to get caught in the Chronosphere, and lets Arteezy do all the sieging. How are LGD going to be able to do this, especially since it's daytime? Because Victoria, I think one of the objectives of the Night Stalker in this matchup is to be able to get to that back line and silence the Naga Siren, or if you're going on the Naga Siren, silence the Earthshaker. but he just can't get over there. He pops the darkness now, but the tier 3 is already gone, and Evil Geniuses are just going to back up, play on this high ground, and maybe just full on back, but they could just go in again if they really wanted to.
I really like the... I don't want to call it abuse per se, but I like the way that Arteezy's using his birds. So obviously, you and I had a discussion about this on one of the other streams, but essentially the way the Gravekeeper's Cloak works for the birds is that it counts as if you have the same amount of stacks as the hero, which means that they're taking 80% less damage from all sources all the time. So when they're like blasting the birds and right-clicking them, they're just not taking any damage because Arteezy's not getting hit. No one's breaking through the Gravekeeper's Cloak because it takes a minimum of 50 damage to go through one charge.
Yep.
And the tower doesn't even hit him that hard. So it's like, how do you break through the defense of this hero? There's a lot of time that LGD need to buy, like creep cutting or getting across the map and split pushing to keep EG out of your base is really the only play that LGD have right now.
It almost feels like LGD is going to be one of those games where losing Raxes is just more time for you. You know?
It really is.
It's just going to be like we know they're going to take that lane of Rax, which is normally an idea that you never want to enter into for your strategy. But this one, it feels like they're going to take it. We're just about how much can we slow them down before they take that and go for the next one. They're currently trying to take Roshan right now. First one of the game.
That'll be real easy.
Yeah, especially with the Solar Crest and all the physical damage.
This is probably just the high ground push as soon as this ends, or as soon as this dies, because the tier 3 bottom is exposed or dead, I guess.
Coming in hot and fast with the smoke. They're going to be able to jump onto Old 11. They'll get the chain stun. Will he have to use Echo Slam? Yeah, he'll blow it just to make sure.
That just guarantees...
Yao, get out of there, Yao.
Ooh. That just guarantees that they can't fight.
Yeah.
Like, without Chrono, there's no chance.
Kill a hero, take Roshan, Evil Geniuses. They're just very quickly checking all the boxes in the to-do list.
The crazy thing about this game is Ame is still sitting atop the net worth, despite everything that's happening so far.
Yeah.
If EG, for whatever reason, blunder their push, there is an opportunity for LGD to come back into the game, for sure. The question is, how... Like, with the way their pushes go, might have to hold that thought.
Wow, they're really committing for this one, even though they don't have Echo Slam.
Good silence.
And Crit doesn't have Lasso. Good silence out. And the Cold Feet, plus maybe almost finished him off, and they do manage to get the last little bit of procs. Force Staff forward. Maybe he's trying to get away to Crepify for the extra damage, but it doesn't actually kill that Sumail Earthshaker, and the Ice Blast doesn't land, which might have just been able to finish him off, but no such luck. LGD will trade maybe's Pugna for the Bat Rider. And considering like the net worth lead by AM, there's not even that big of an overall net worth disparity. So that trade wasn't actually like, you know, when you're really far behind, you can actually kind of trade a 2 position for a 3 position, be okay with it.
Yeah, just because the net worth discrepancy makes up for it.
Yeah.
This time it's not really the case. It's more about EG's lineup just is so difficult for LGD to handle with the tools that they currently have.
Yeah.
What they're lacking is items. That's what they need more than anything else, because they do not have damage, whereas EG have the capability of pushing
an Orchid
this.
already. Old 11. He's screwed. Chant Totem, and the Orchid will pop him.
This is, well, I guess he has buyback. There is a Chrono available. I was going to say that could just potentially beat Rax since they have the Aegis anyway, and they can just casually walk down that bottom lane and just hit the tower, but you never know. Alright.
The old offensive GG from Evil Geniuses. Quick little mistake from EG, as I'm sure they're spamming their chat wheel all the time. Be right back.
Well, let's see. Can EG deal some damage here? Oh, I guess the Void spent his money.
Crit's gonna start moving forward with the Firefly while they're hitting on this melee Rax. Ame's just going to keep on pushing. He'll TP in if they get a really sick Chronosphere or something, but that seems unlikely at this point. All these heroes in the back. Crit actually gets the initiation on Old 11. They give him the Decrepify, a little bit of heal, but the magic damage is enough to be able to finish him off, and that just kills the whole entire team fight. There's no way LGD can defend this lane of Rax, so they give up on the idea. The rest of them go back to Shrine, except for the Night Stalker, who's going to be caught by the Yule Scepter. Good hit by Sumail. That'll be 2 down. And a quick rotation by EG into the mid lane push now.
I'm not entirely sure if Ame even TPing home at this point matters that much.
No.
Like, look at this just army.
Back line, Sumail jumps again, catches maybe an instant buyback there. But they're not going to be able to take advantage of the very aggressive stance from EG. They're just surrounding this tower. There's nothing LGD can do about it. Void's back up now. See if he can get the jump in. Chronosphere managed to catch 2 there, especially with Arteezy here way on the front lines. But there goes that Song of the Siren. Does manage to clip maybe at the edge of it too to stop that life drain. And now they're going to get on top of maybe as he's really far forward. Sumail goes for it, actually backs himself away with BKB. Animage, they're going to be able to take down Sumail. He goes for the next one. Looks for Zai. He's decrepified up. Old Eleven's in some serious trouble though. He time walked forward and instantly is jumped on by Arteezy and the Birds. Now with the drops onto Ame, they bring him lower and lower. He's going to have to blink himself backwards, but Victoria can keep on moving forward with the Ice Blast landing on multiple heroes. Maybe they can actually take down Arteezy as well. Maybe another nuke with the Ice Blast. They finally take him down. That Aegis is gone, and so are the Familiars. At the Gravekeeper's cloak ends, Arteezy's going to come back up, but he doesn't have that cloak or not a whole lot of charges on it. But fortunately, the sticky napalm makes it hard for Ame to chase. That's all they're going to be able to get off of that is 3 heroes from EG.
That was huge for LGD to get that kind of defense in that situation. The thing that really made the fight was Ame recognizing the fact that this was an all-in moment. A Manta style may not be enough to keep you alive during that one fight, so what does he do? He buys BKB. 10-second magic immunity, goes in, gets the free auto attacks, and basically anyone he wants. We're going to get a chance to see it again. At this point in time, there was no AA blast to be able to be thrown out. We saw Zai with the counter initiation and the song. And you kind of think at this point, okay, well, EG can probably just run, but they don't. And now they're going to be going for more kills here on the side of EG as they manage to secure the kill on maybe. No buyback for a full minute. This is a bit of a bummer.
They catch Old 11 as well. Sumail in range for the Yule Scepter. Victoria's got to stop this enchant totem, but he's not going to be there in time. There's even crit with the lasso, so that is another death. No matter how many times you time walk, my friend, there'll always be another EG member in place. Ame not going to be hit by that Fissure. He's really hoping to be able to pick up his Manta before this next push, but doesn't look like it.
Yeah, EG are relentless here.
Another lane of racks is space for Ame to get his next set of items.
It's so painful that they ended up losing the Void. He would have had Chrono for this.
Yeah.
Chrono just came off cooldown about a second ago. The BKB was up as well for Ame. There was potential for them to defend, but they went out of base and weren't expecting EG to be over across the map that fast. End up losing 2 integral heroes for the base defense, and now
there's a gigantic push coming in at top lane too.
Yeah, that's 4 range creeps. That is pretty spooky. I don't know if EG want to try to force it too much.
Yeah.
That's the...
Wait for... Well, Roshan's still a ways away.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, but it's 2 minutes until we know when it's going to spawn, not just 2 minutes until it's going to be up, so... It does buy time for the anti-mage to finish up the Manta style. That means he won't have buyback, but at this point, you kind of need to not have buyback anyway. If you don't have every item in your inventory as the anti-mage right now to defend, then your buyback is meaningless because your team is most likely going to be dead.
He's about to hit level 20. You get the 15% evasion, right?
Yeah, I think so in this game.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of the time you want stats, but against like the right-click damage, and because of the fact that he has such an early BKB, I feel like the evasion is just more useful.
Yeah. Fortunately, there's still that big enchant totem hit from Sumail, but at least it'll help him mitigate a lot of damage from Arteezy and his birds.
Yeah, the unfortunate part is the True Strike. Even if he has like Butterfly or whatever, the Earthshaker can still just punch him in the face with a totem. It's a lot of damage.
And they've got more Solar Crests. Zai's gonna pick one up too.
I like this move from Ame, scouting things out. Yeah. Needs to be careful not to get spotted by the bird. Still 10 seconds on the TP.
I like this because if he found the right hero with this Manta, he could actually get a quick pick, and that would really help open up the map for them. But he's not finding it. He's going to have to give up. Scouting those heroes, I wonder if LGD are ever going to venture on the offensive. Maybe like a 4-man smoke behind the AM or something like that.
I think it's probably better to make EG use all of their stuff outside of base.
Oh, there goes the lasso. Pull back, but Sumail's giving up on that real quickly. The darkness. Sumail is scared of the dark. Runs away from the Nightman.
Were they just trying to force BKB, I guess?
I guess so, maybe. I don't know. It didn't even look that...
Well, the thing is, they had no vision, right? Like, EG had no vision of that, so when they go in and they don't see anyone else on the map,
yeah,
they're just thinking, okay, well maybe there are people behind him. Best case scenario, we force a BKB charge. Because it still is a pretty big deal. Having a 9-second BKB for the base defense is going to be nice. I suppose at this point, it's already been enough time to where EG can justify waiting for Roshan to spawn again. And then just taking it, because honestly, if LGD can test that, it's a very difficult fight. That's probably one of the worst places on the map for their lineup against the Naga, because it's so hard to catch that hero, or even throw a chrono and have it be useful. Because I can literally stand like on his shrine and still be able to walk into the pit and use Song effectively.
I like the Aghanim's choice next for Ame. You've got a lot of very dangerous single target abilities. You've got the Ensnare from Naga Siren's net. You've got the Bat Rider Lasso. You've even got Grave Chill. That'd be pretty helpful.
Yeah, I like
block the Grave Chill and get it to yourself.
Normally, I'm a big fan of things like Linken's over Aghanim's, but in this game, because he's under so much pressure, and they don't know how much time they have to be able to realistically farm another item, Aghanim's for the time frame that he has is probably the best choice.
Yeah. Wait, if you bounce back the Lasso, you can still right-click on AM, right?
I think it disables auto attack on Bat, but I don't actually know the interaction.
Yeah.
You don't think about it, right?
You block the Lasso, and then obviously he turns around and actually lassos the Bat, and then you're like, but I can't right.
I would imagine
he just right-clicked an illusion, kind of revealed himself with the 4-man smoke. They just kind of have to hurry because they don't want to be losing too many of these Raxes. They're going to jump in now. They actually go straight for Sumail. He goes ahead, Yule Scepters himself up. Ami's still going to go for the surround here. They have the vision. It's a little bit late, but they are going to be able to catch Sumail in the trees. But in the meantime, the rest of the fight rages on. Old 11 is unable to get off his Chronosphere. So now Ame is in a bit of trouble. He's going to be controlled up heavily by the birds. Victoria and Maybe are still sitting on the side as the helpers to the Standing Mage as he starts backing himself away. Victoria is going to have to be the one that goes down to help the AM escape. And now, doesn't have BKB, only has Manta coming up in 5 seconds time, but that buyback looks like to be enough to scare Evil Geniuses away, unless they can maybe kill Maybe here. But a Decrepify does stop a lot of the damage coming its way. Universe still gonna go for the right click and actually gets it with a Shadow Blade, but now Ame comes forward with the Manta, doesn't have the ultimate, and they do have the Song of Siren, so they get the extra kill. They can even, no, they're not gonna set up for the kill on Nightstalker, that'd be risky as hell, so they all TP away. A free pick on Maybe's Pugna, and they'll back up.
That was an amazing fight for LGD. Like, sure, they lose some heroes, but they didn't even chrono. Like, they go in from the side, they catch Sumail right away, they took down Universe. At that point in the fight, you're already feeling like that's a victory, more or less. You know, they take away a lot of the trees. You're just trying to really buy this extra time so that, you know, after the Aghanims, you know, you get the Abyssal Blade on the Anti-Mage, maybe you eventually make your way to a Butterfly. Slowly but surely, even though EG has like this 10k net worth lead, if you keep taking successful fights and delaying and delaying, there is still a small chance for LGD to make their way back.
Who is this born-again Draskell that I'm talking to? You looked at it as they were able to survive without the Faceless Void Chrono. They're going to be able to kill Universe here, so 1-for-1 trade of... Oh no! Sumail, what happened? He messed up the blink. Wasn't able to get off the Echo Slam, and now, well, Victoria's still definitely dead, but maybe he's going to be able to get a lot of damage on his eye. They're trying to finish him up so they don't have to worry about that Song of Siren. Not that he had it anyway. Ami's going to be able to take him out. Yao's going to be chased down by Familiars. Run, Yao, you run! Run away from the birds! Ame, he turns and fights. He pops his BKB. He actually still had that one. He can go for Sumail. He's out of mana, so his damage is not doing nearly enough, and the physical damage for the birds is too much.
Oh.
Ame tries to get away, but it's no! He couldn't blink out. The Familiars catch him first. The attacks are too fast. He does have a buyback. And there is Roshan up, so I'm not sure if Evil Geniuses are going to force that out of him. But a big win there from EG.
Yeah, they're going to throw the scouting ulti into the pit. EG will probably just walk straight in there after the Shrine usage here. That was... It was so unfortunate because the Void just keeps dying before he's able to ult. Like, 11 has not really been able to use his Chronosphere in the last 2 big engagements, and that time it ended up hurting them a lot.
Yeah.
Imagine if they had the Chrono, they probably would have been able to finish at least 2 or 3 heroes off, just because of how farmed the Anti-Mage is comparative to everyone else in the game.
What do you think about this Helmet Dominator choice by him? Because that would pretty much be a Blink Dagger, and that would help him get off Chronosphere in these nasty situations.
I feel like he may regret that choice a little bit, but I don't know. It feels like one of those games where, okay, I blink Chrono, but there's an Naga Siren on the other team. So maybe his justification for not buying it straight away is, this is something that allows me to farm. I can be out on the map a little bit longer. You know, I'm getting some kind of guaranteed value, whereas the Blink doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to win the fight.
Yeah.
I think at this point, though, after having seen the way that everything has gone, that Blink may have been the better option, but I still think that their lineup is at a huge disadvantage, just given what EG have been able to do in the early mid game.
Ame has given up on that Aghanim Scepter. He saw the amount of damage he took from Solar Crest plus Aghanim's Birds from the Visage, and he said, no. I gotta get myself some armor. He's gonna go for the Assault Cuirass next instead. He did go for the plus 10 all stats.
Okay. I mean, if you're gonna buy the plate mail, then it makes sense to go stats, because it's a better effective HP boost.
Yeah.
And you still want to be able to deal enough damage to get kills.
And he probably just doesn't feel good enough about the evasion against that Enchant Totem.
Yeah. I mean,
and I suppose there's going to be Bloodthorn coming out from Nature's Prophet soon.
That guy is doing a tremendous amount of work. Like, given the game that he's had, he's pretty much the one keeping LGD in the game at this point.
Here comes the Familiars. Going to be forced to pop Darkness. You see Old 11 on hard left-hand side here, looking for a free opening into a Chronosphere. Been the problem, though. Evil Geniuses, the way they set up, they're really forcing LGD to come to them, and it's very hard with just that Time Watch, just 675 range to be able to get in position and get out the Chronosphere, especially if you've got quick fingers. Like, you know, you've got a lot of instant stuns, and you also have that Orchid for the silence as well.
Oh, the Birds are going to find 11 here.
Oh no, Old 11. They're going to go for the Rain Tracks instead. Get some permanent damage in, and might just actually get the full Rain Tracks. Familiar start running out of damage, so he's going to have to drop him down. But Arteezy himself is going to be gone on. They managed to get the Echo Slam, and there goes the Chronosphere. So the Song of Sirens is going to be forced out here, but a really long range maybe pull is going to be able to take away that Aegis from Samael's Earthshaker. And he's in an awkward position. Triple drop from the Aegis Familiar is going to be able to catch Old 11, and they'll take him down. Ame pops his BKB, but is unable to get any real good damage. In fact, the Familiars are doing too much to him. He has to go back to the fountain, and that leaves Evil Geniuses the opening to move forward onto these barracks. Maybe. Somehow has to defend this one melee Rax against these Treants and against these Familiars. Arteezy starts coming forward, roots up Victoria, and with all that damage, fortunately Decrepify, well, it doesn't actually save him because that just increases the damage from Arteezy's Soul Assumption nuke to finish him off. Illusions, Familiars, Ame has to find an opening, and he does get Universe. A big blast with the Ice Blast coming in. As long as it hit these heroes, oh my god, he actually popped the cheese just before the Ice Blast clipped him, so Samael goes up to full HP. Ame at half, not feeling comfortable. Moving forward, has to go back to the fountain once again, but it does look like LGD have held once again. It cost them a tier 3, it cost them a range Rax. They're sitting on one last building against Megas, but LGD are grinding out survival.
I gotta commend the way that Ame is playing the game. Like, every single thing that he's done so far in terms of itemization has made him able to fight this ridiculous onslaught of EG's net worth advantage, 16,000 in a 35-minute game. That is enormous. So instead of, you know, going back and finishing the full HC, he recognizes, hey, I might not have the time. I'm just gonna buy the item that gives me the most bang for my buck right now. And that's the Vlad's. You know, it helps against all the damage that the trees do, the illusions, you know, the Visage Birds, and all this stuff. And looking forward, potentially into the next game as well, I think that these types of strategies, if they had one less, like, really good pushing hero, say they ban Prophet or they ban Visage, I think that this type of strategy might not be quite as effective as it has been against what LGD wanted to do.
Maybe, or excuse me, Ame has been sort of the rock for LGD, and his item progression was pretty much 80% of what LGD was. But we do have NewBee's item progression. He's trying to get an Aghanim Scepter. That will certainly help out quite a bit, as that Song of the Siren has been kind of pesky for him, stopping the life drain. If he gets the Aghanim Scepter, he can just restart it up again after the song is finished. And Old 11 still working towards that Blink Dagger. I just can't imagine he's going to get it before this next potential game-ending push, but I really love what they're doing. They're coming outside of the base. They don't want to let EG be able to get to the base. They want to fight outside of it. Here comes the Ice Blast coming in with the BKB. Timing, it's going to wear out. They hit the Ice Blast, but it's just not good enough. Song of Siren will allow EG to be able to kind of reset this fight, and Sumail just blows up the Night Stalker instantly. Ame in a questionable position, not really sure where he can go. He actually gets ensnared up by the Naga Siren and just kited around constantly. Sumail comes in, gives him a hit. GG is going to be called by LGD. They don't even wait for the end of it. They see there's just no way for Ame to be able to carry this one out.
The nail on the coffin there, Sumail with the Enchant Totem crit right into the face of that anti-mage. I just think that the way that EG draft right now, like their love for the Naga Siren, having the Nature's Prophet off lane, we spoke briefly about the minus armor strategy with a ranged physical damage dealer, having those treants as well, pressuring so hard. LGD safe lane, like, when you have that kind of pressure, and it's an anti-mage in the lane that you're really having to worry about, like, securing farm for, and all you have is an Ancient Apparition and a Night Stalker, it just feels impossible.
Yeah.
Like, how do you do enough in the laning phase to give Ame the game that he needs? And, you know, again, going into game number 2, maybe you think about just banning one of those heroes. You know, maybe the Naga Siren, if you're going to be first picking Void, might be the better choice, because then at least you can rely on Chronosphere a little bit more. But just always think about, we need ways of dealing with this early game aggressive push that EG are bringing.
Yeah. If I'm LGD, it's either one or two ways. I'm either banning Naga, if I want to take Void in the first one too, or I'm taking away that Visage. Like, I personally feel like that core Visage just gave Evil Geniuses such a strong timing window, because not only he was using the familiars to go and put pressure on mid and stuff, but also just being able to siege high ground so effectively with just the birds. But that's going to be it for game number 1. We'll be back after a short break with game number 2 of LGD versus Evil Geniuses.